Kent, awesome. So good to have you, man.
Pleasure to be here.
So I've been excited for this one. We've had to postpone it a few times. There's a lot of chaos happening in Brisbane and I guess the south, or just the east coast of Australia at the moment. So to anyone who's been affected by the floods, it's awesome to see the communities rallying around and helping everyone get back on their feet. But it's devastating. But mate, we caught up for a coffee a few weeks ago. I actually posted on Instagram, who would you love to hear on the podcast? And you popped up, I think it ended up being like 6 times. So who is this dude? And then Tommy,
that's awesome.
Tommy Alassi introduced us and we went for a coffee, and I think we were there for like 90 minutes. And I walked away from our coffee so inspired from your story and everything that you're doing. I was like, this is exactly why everyone was like, get him on the podcast. He's a ripper. But you're doing some cool stuff. But I guess, Kent, to give everyone a bit of a background, give us a quick inside scoop into what's happened for you over the last, I guess, 10 years and why you're doing what you're doing now with some of the crazy stuff. And I won't give it away. I'll let you take us there.
Well, went to school on the Gold Coast, moved up here when I graduated, went to uni up here, started working in the nightlife industry. So a lot of unhealthy habits. That moved across to hospitality. And then, more unhealthy habits. But did really well. Set up a few, a restaurant, and everything was kind of good. And then I guess everything fell apart when my father passed away. And that was just like a massive reality shock. And that was 4 years ago.
Yep.
But before that, like life was good. Like I've had my own mental issues with mental health and everything, and a bit on medication and whatnot, but like I wasn't in a bad situation. But I guess when my father passed away, that was kind of like a breaking point where you just start to reassess everything in your life.
So what just quickly, like what were you striving towards prior to your dad passing? Like did you have goals and ambitions, or were you sort of just floating through life?
Floating through. We had a restaurant in Brisbane. And everything was great. Like life was pretty good, but ambition wise, I didn't really have any other goals apart from just working and just the grind, I guess. At that time, I started to get back into running through a friend, which was the perfect time. Very grateful for it. And when my father passed away, that was when I really needed to run and exercise. And I was training for a marathon at that time, so having the training plan and something to look forward to was really, really important.
Did you find the running was like almost, was obviously a mindful practice, but meditative in a way for you, like just getting out and running for? Yeah,
definitely. And I wouldn't take my phone. Sometimes I listen to music, but it's really just escaping from your life. You can't just get your phone out and check Instagram, you're running. So there's not much else you can do. So it's kind of like forced meditation.
Yeah, 100%. Were there ever times where you just found being in your own head was a terrible place to be? Like, especially going through the passing of your dad and probably wanting to make a few lifestyle changes?
Yeah, definitely. But I don't know, when you start exercising and you're by yourself, it's a very different meditative, like when you're thinking to yourself, it's very different to like if you're just inside, and thinking about your thoughts. I feel like, you're just in such a relaxed state that, any thoughts that you have, negative or positive, you're just in a better state to be able to evaluate and release.
Yeah. It's one thing I picked up from our conversation was just like your energy and how you viewed problems, and going back to even that, we didn't touch on that, but like the state that you're in definitely puts you in a more powerful position to address what's in front of you. And that can be all throughout your life. And it's why I'm such a big believer. And I love what you're doing. And also why health and fitness is such a big part of my life, because it can really put you in a better, I guess, energetic state. Like you feel so good after I hit the stairs this morning. I know you went for a run this morning, like we're feeling good. And there's a lot of people who, I guess, undervalue the way that exercise can make you feel, even though sometimes you're in the hurt locker, like during the session, but after you can really feel amazing. So thinking about, I guess, those things that you have that can really change your state.
But being in the hurt locker and then overcoming that kind of that low, that gives you empowerment. So like, you know, what I find with exercise is that, you know, although it's difficult, waking up at 4 a.m. might be difficult, but, you know, it gives you that sense of empowerment that you've accomplished something, you know, that you maybe didn't think that you could do, or, you know, and it's the best way to start the day.
Have you always been an early riser though? Or like,
not when I was in the nightlife industry, obviously clubbing, like nightclubs and stuff like that. So
you're probably going to bed at the time you're getting up.
Yeah, totally. You know, I remember back in the day and we'd be going home at 5 a.m. in the morning and you'd see the cyclists, you'd see the runners and you'd be like, what are these guys doing? And then now I'm on the other side and I'm like,
what are these guys doing?
Yeah, go for a run, man.
Mate, I was the exact same when I was driving to the stairs this morning, coming up Ann Street, and I was like, oh, I feel like cringy because I remember how I felt in those moments of the mornings, which isn't ideal. But touching on the hurt locker, like a lot of the stuff that you do now puts you in the hurt locker. So from the passing of your dad, you did the marathon. How'd you go with the marathon?
So as I said, it was a critical time in my life where I really needed that exercise, and that training plan for the marathon was really what made me focus on the future rather than looking back too much into the past and what's happened. I did quite well. So I got a 3 hours and 9 minute marathon. So that was my first one. I did 2 half marathons the year before. And I was like, oh crap, that's pretty close to a 3 hour.
What would that be in per kilometers?
4 minute 30.
4 minutes. All right. So for anyone who doesn't understand the effort that is to do a 3 hour, 9 minute, go get a kilometer track somewhere, whether you do a couple of laps around a track or just start your watch and run your fastest kilometer. And I guarantee you 80% of people won't even get under 5 minutes for a 1 kilometer, let alone 42.
Yeah.
That's mental.
You got to start somewhere.
100%. Yeah. I think it often goes, because I always, you know, I love sport.
Yeah.
And when I see people doing these incredible endurance events, I'm like, I think I can do it. And I think that's a good mindset to have. But then when you actually break down the splits or try to do some of the stuff, and you're like, they did that repetitively for 12 hours or for 4 hours. Like, I've got so much more respect for them as an individual and the mindset that goes along with that. How was your mindset throughout that?
At the time, I was still battling with grief. So it was difficult. You know, I was still drinking. I was still, you know, going through my demons. And then the running, I kept it going, thankfully. But, you know, like the running at that time, like, to be honest, there was times where I'd run and I'd just start bawling my eyes out. And it was the most relaxing and meditative thing that I've done. And I needed that. And I also needed to have the alcohol. And I needed that at that time. But, you know, just having that balance of different ways of, you know, having different coping mechanisms was, vital.
Needed it.
It was hard. Yeah.
It's interesting that you say you needed the alcohol as well, because I've always, for me, I'm very hardline. I'm like, your life's shit or you're really struggling, cut out alcohol because they're depressants and stuff like that. But obviously then hearing that it's actually worked for you, like it was beautiful. And I think having those, I think there's so many tools, right? Like some people may lean 100% on alcohol, and that's probably not a good thing. And it could also go to the flip side where you're 100% just obsessed with fitness, for example, and maybe that too can be detrimental in its way. So finding, I guess, a number of tools, whether it's seeking professional help, doing what you're doing now. You've also made the Rebound Run Club as well. Like everything that you've got going on there, it's like a community of awesome people, right? And you're starting to leverage multiple.
Well, at the time, I didn't know what to do. So, you know, like we'd
try something.
You know, like I was drinking, but thankfully I was running. So that kind of balanced it out for a bit. And then it got to the point where I was getting kind of serious with the training. And then I guess the more I look forward to that, the more I didn't need to resort to the alcohol as a coping mechanism. And then that would be the first time I've really challenged myself to something, you know, pretty crazy. Well, at the time I thought a marathon was crazy.
A marathon is insane.
Then finished it, and I wanted to give up at 32 Ks, just like most people. But I just promised myself and my dad that I wouldn't. This wasn't just for me; it was for my dad, and you know, everything I've gone through, and you know, and really just pushing myself to the point where I was on the floor with cramps everywhere, like as when I finished. And after that, you know, I was in pain, but at the same time, I was just, it was like I've been on, like, it was a massive high.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm so empowered by this. You know, I've just gone through this massive setback, just like losing your father. Like it was just like, you know, you go through these lows and the next thing you just like accomplish something you never thought. And then, yeah, I was just so inspired and empowered. And that was the start of everything.
The beginning.
Yeah, the beginning.
The beginning. And I've got a lot of respect for people who can run a marathon. I was training for it last year, and obviously COVID had a number of them cancelled, thankfully, because my body was breaking. Like we went, whatever program we were following, I won't mention name, but we started following a program. Within 3 weeks, we were doing half marathons. And I was coming off having done CrossFit for 5 years, so I wasn't built to run.
Yeah, it's not good.
And the amount of people in our crew that dropped out just from injuries was insane. And I was, at the end, my knees were cooked, my ankles were cooked, and I was just like a brick trying to run. So
how many days were you running?
4. And that was still like weight training on top. Then I was doing my track training and these longer runs. Like every Sunday was like, you know, building up from a half marathon upwards. It was still awesome fun and a great experience to you know, see the talk that goes on in your mind. It's the opportunity. I remember one day it was bucketing down rain and we were saturated. It was fun running in the rain, but my knee, like if I stopped, I couldn't, like, I don't know how I got back into momentum, but fortunately I didn't take my phone, because had I taken my phone, I would have either got on a scooter or an Uber. And there was part of me, I was like, I don't even know what to do. I can't get it. I felt like I really needed it. I was hurting. But then when I got home, like managed to get back, I was like, holy shit. I can't believe I finished that, because I was hurting from before I even reached halfway. And it's funny what your body can like really get out if you have no other way.
Well, the marathon was, like I said, the first time that I've challenged myself. Like I lived a comfortable life, you know, very comfortable. Go home, you know, catch up with mates, go have dinner, you know, watch TV, whatever. Like I wasn't challenging myself, and you know, just easy life. And but then the amount of growth and amount of self-empowerment and that you gain from this was just something that I haven't experienced. And then from that, I guess I got addicted to it.
Do you think you would have like have the outlook and chase the, I guess, the discomfort the way that you do now if your dad hadn't have passed? And like, do you feel like you would have given it all in that marathon as well?
I'm not too sure. When I was in school, I was quite competitive with sport. Never like great at anything, but always just competitive. But yeah, I was training for the marathon before my dad passed away. So I'm not too sure. Like maybe I would have, maybe not, but I don't think, you know, when you lose everything that you live for, like, you know, my dad was like one of my closest friends. Like he was my best friend, plus my business partner, plus my father. When you lose everything, you know, your mindset changes. Like, you know, a lot of things that used to affect you mentally, you know, you just like, well, I've just gone through this massive blow. Like this is nothing, you know? So like your mindset changes in the way that, nothing can be as bad as what it was. So, you know.
Do you feel it's possible to be able to have those perspective shifts without having such, I guess, loss, or even for some people, it might be hitting rock bottom in whatever that looks like for them? Because it's something that I always think about, like, how can we get people to see what's actually important to them?
Well, that's why I created Rebound Club. So, you know, I don't want, so 2 or 3 months after my dad passed away, I was the only person that saw my grandma take her last breath. So like, it wasn't just my dad. A few months later, I was the only person that saw my grandma take her last breath. All this stuff happened. And through my journey with exercise and all this, like a massive empowerment journey, just made me realize that I don't want other people to have to see what I saw, or, you know, see something even worse before they start to better themselves, you know, to really have that confidence in knowing that we are better than who we are now. We can always be better. But yeah, you know, we live in such a comfortable society that everything's, you know, Uber Eats, you know, we've got scooters, we've got everything at our
we've got
like,
the aircon here.
Exactly. Like, why would you want to go out and go for a 20K run? You know, like,
it's honestly, and this is why I really resonate with a lot of the stuff that you're doing, and you inspired me, and I'll share that later. with some stuff that I'm now doing because of our conversation, which is awesome. But
awesome.
it is so true. Like we're uncomfortably physically, like there's so many things that challenge people, but also mentally and emotionally and spiritually even to like, you know, we may be in a relationship that we don't like. The uncomfortable thing to do is have a conversation, which may lead to you having to leave the relationship or, you know, it might improve it, but it's still very uncomfortable. We don't like it. So let's just sit back and build resentment. Same with physically. Like there's a lot of people who lack the energy to even play with their kids or do any, you know, fun activities with their friends. Like for me, and I know you're very similar, it's like to be able to go to your mates, hey, we're going for a hike tomorrow, and not having to go, I wonder if I'm capable or fit enough to do that. It's just like, I'm born ready for that stuff. Or to be able to go, hey, we're going to this, you know, beach breathwork session or whatever. And say, I'm down for that. I'm open enough and can get in the zone to be open to whatever happens there. So it's like, for me, it's how do we continue to get stronger in those important areas? Because I've spoken about this a fair bit recently, is like, for me, when I was, I guess, fit and strong as an athlete, I was really strong there and people were like, oh, what a bloke, you know, that's what I assume people said. But then mentally and spiritually, I was weak, like I was broken, I was weak. And then you might see the flip side where maybe there's people who are financially strong, amazing. But once again, physically, they might have the dad bod or mentally and emotionally, their relationships at home aren't so good. So they're weak. So for me, and what I know you're doing is like, you're inspiring to people who are like, why can't we have it all? Like, why literally can't we seek the discomfort to understand who we are as individual and bring an incredible tribe of people together? And that challenges us first and foremost, but we get to challenge ourselves in the process. And I think by doing that, eventually, you know, financially, it's going to get stronger for you because you're doing what you love and you're changing people's lives. And it excites the absolute fuck out of me. Which is, I can't speak highly enough of it. But for you, like chasing then those physically demanding challenges, what was the next step for you after the marathon?
So after the marathon, I actually got injured.
The story ends.
And that's it. So I've never trained for a marathon. The first marathon, at the peak, I think there was 1 or 2 weeks where I was running 100 to 110 Ks a week, which for me, I got it done. And because I just found a training plan online and I was like, well, easy, moderate or advanced training plan. I was like, well, might as well just go to advanced. It's only 30 Ks more a week. But no, everything was okay. And I think at the time I didn't realize I was injured. But after that, I was so empowered and I was like, I was so close to a sub-3 marathon, which is something that, you know, a lot of marathon runners dream of accomplishing. So I was like, okay, well, I'll take a week off, which is also a stupid idea because you need to take more than that apparently.
Apparently.
And then you get back into it. And then, a few weeks after I started to get a sore shin and I was like, oh, this is weird. So I just started icing it. Didn't get better. And then, basically I had a stress reaction. So that's just before a stress fracture. So it was almost at the point where it was going to start fracturing. Stopped. And that's when another mate, the same guy who got me into running, was like, oh, I have a spare bike. Do you want to just start riding? And then, went on a few rides. And I remember the first time I went up Mount Cootha and I was like, this is awesome.
You're a maniac. What's the incline of Mount Cootha?
I think it's like 8.8%.
Put your treadmills next time you're in the gym, put your treadmills on 8.8%. Just try walk up and let alone ride up at the burn.
Then after that got into cycling. And the good thing about stress fractures or stress reactions, you can still cycle, you can still swim, you can still do gym. Like they actually recommend you to do like, you know, jumping exercise and stuff like that. I don't know why, but they do.
The loading through your joints, like it helps with obviously bone density, but osteoporosis prevention from that and stuff. It's key. That's why strength training is still important.
It's absolutely, it's more important than the other training.
100%.
Got into cycling, and then that same friend got me into triathlon basically. And
this friend's awesome.
No, he came at a pivotal time. I only knew him for like 6 months before that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he got me into the half marathons, and then I was like, I'm going to do a marathon. Like very grateful. Got into triathlons. Never swam before. Swam at school. Hated it. 3 months of swimming training. Found a training plan online, free again. So, there's no barrier of entry. Like there's, as long as you have a bike and you have hands, well, even if you don't have hands, there's people that do Ironmans, so, but yeah, started swimming, just followed a training plan, had no idea what I was doing. Just followed the training plan, just didn't miss a session.
Yep.
And then, did my first triathlon. I was like, oh, actually I did okay. And then after that, as I was training, I was looking on YouTube. There's a lot of nice, like some really informative YouTube channels about triathlon training and stuff like that. And you just see all these videos about an Ironman, like come up, epic music. There's like guys like super fit, in wetsuits and, massive 180K bike ride. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. And at that point, I didn't think I would be capable of doing it. I just saw these videos all the time. And then finished the triathlon, which was an Olympic distance. So just 1,500 meter swim, 40K bike and a 10K run. And then, I don't know, I finished that and it did well. And I was like, well, what's next? I feel like I've, since the marathon and this triathlon, I put so much effort into it and I've reaped the reward, I'm empowered. I'm like, what's next? And then COVID hit. And so the restaurants were in lockdown. We're just doing takeaway. I had a bit more time.
Yep.
Went on my first 100K bike ride. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Never thought I could do that.
Yeah.
It's just like, you're just leveling up the whole time. And then, I remember I was at this physio just getting a massage, and one of the girls there, or someone somewhere, that we want to disclose. Yeah. I remember she was just laughing because my swimming training was just not what you were meant to do for an Ironman training or like anything. Yep. And the way that she was talking to me was very belittling.
Yep.
And that was the motivation I needed. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to do an Ironman. Yes. Signed up the next day. And I was like, oh, how do I do it? I'm not too sure, but I've signed up. Once you're in there, you've got to figure it out. And 6 months later, Ironman.
It's such a good approach. It's funny how people do belittle. And I think we all experience this in life. We get told so often what we can't do, and often a lot of it comes from a good place to try and keep us safe and stuff. But then it may carry on. Like we get in the habit of saying, you can't do that. Or we're on the receiving end of 100%. Like, can't do that. So we then stop thinking about what could I actually achieve? Where are my limitations at? And people just by even default may belittle us. And for some people, it's like, okay, no, I won't do that then.
Yeah, it's funny. Most people highlight the negatives rather than the positives, or people would rather tell you what you can't do rather than what you can do.
Yeah.
It's don't know why.
Negativity bias, I think, but it's so apparent. Like even then for yourself, it's like you latched onto it as fuel. Yeah. Which is exactly what I do as well, because what I'm going to do once again, inspired by you, people are like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, am I?
So what? Why do it, or why not do it?
I've been training for literally 3 to 5 hours a day for the last 4 years. I think like that used to be stupid, but now it's normal. So let's see what happens.
I saw a video on Arnie Schwarzenegger the other day.
He's an animal.
And it's just in his accent. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to make a dick out of myself. But he was just like training his life, like he's gained so much. And, he's probably gone through all these, obviously being Mr. Universe and everything. And, he's probably just translated all of that empowerment and confidence into everything else, like
100%.
And I don't even know how old he is. He looks pretty old now. But like, he's just like training is part of my life. Like it's training for life. So,
and even a few things that I've picked up from what you've been saying that literally can go into every other area of your life. You did not know how to run a marathon or what the training progress or program was like for that. A lot of people go, no, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And don't even think, well, maybe I can learn YouTube, or maybe if I can Google marathon program. So you were self-taught. And I remember we were speaking at the cafe, and even around diet, you're like, I don't know. I just jumped on live. And for me, I was like, you're a fucking animal. I love it. Like you just literally Googled. I
didn't have training buddies. I went to the pool by myself. Luckily near the restaurant was the pool. So before work, I'd just go in, or during work, I'd just go like,
if you're bored at work, just break it up.
Swim. Hate swimming. Still hate it.
Yeah.
I just think that exercise and challenging yourself to a marathon, or like a road challenge or something, like whatever you're into, is the best way to just, like to gain that self-development. It's like a self-development training course.
In a fun way.
Whereas like, if you want to challenge yourself to learning a different language, it takes so long and it's hard to kind of, to realize the growth.
Yep.
Whereas with like a marathon, it's either you finish or you don't, there's a time.
Yep.
It's so much easier to gain that self-development through exercise. And I think that's what I'm trying to communicate to the community, to the public, is that exercise is the best way to gain that development, that empowerment to know that you're better than who you are today.
Yeah. And it's exactly right, that every day you're pushing yourself that 1% better, as you said. What have you done this morning? You've run, rode.
So I woke up at 3:45 and then I went for an hour and 40-minute bike ride on the trainer, and then went to the 2-hour little social run.
You've been on the trainer all week, man. I see you've been on Instagram. It's just like, obviously we've been raining a heap.
Yeah. And then 2-hour social run. So that was at 7, and then straight here.
This is what I love. It's like, for some people that's insane, but for you, it's like, it's a good Saturday morning.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And like, you get to do it with the community, whether it's a bike or by yourself. But then you go make it fun. And so it doesn't always have to be intense, right? You can have some fun with it. And I think that's such an important part. And, part of the fun, even for me, because I've always taken training so serious.
Yeah.
For me, like this morning doing the stairs, it isn't about cooking myself. It's like, how can I have fun? For me, how do I have fun? Like, I always enjoy exercise, but how do it socially? I'd be a bit more interactive when I'm doing it, rather than just trying to win all the time. So there's so many lessons that I can learn, because I take that for my business as well. I'm always like, rather than being like, smell the roses, man. Like, at the end of the day, I'm not going to care when I'm on my deathbed. It's like, how many people did I laugh with today, or have good conversations like this? That is really important. And I think being around people like yourself, and I imagine your whole community would provide that, right? You get people who want to be better, and better is different for us as individuals, but then you get to have conversations with someone who may have just broken a 5K time trial, all these things, and you get to celebrate with them and ride off the momentum of the community as well.
It's all perspective. Someone, for me, it's some crazy exercise challenge, but for someone else who comes to our social runs on Saturday, it could be doing a 3-kilometer run, because they haven't been able to do that. The empowerment and the change in mindset that they get from a 3K run is exactly the same as what I would get from challenging myself to my next thing. Like, it's all just perspective. But we get guys that are coming for the first time. Oh, I'm not a runner. And the next thing they run 3Ks, they're like, oh,
I am a runner.
And then next week they're doing 3Ks again, but easier. It's like nothing's changed. It's not like they've gained any improvements in their training in a week.
No,
all it is their mindset. Yeah, and it's funny. It happens a lot.
It's very, very cool to see. And that's once again, like, I think the beauty of getting yourself in an environment where people are challenging themselves, because a lot of it is just a shift in perspective, right? Like, what once was not possible for you is now possible. Now you know it's going to be done. Like, completely different approach. And that's what, for me, do you do much visualization, or I guess, so how have you found that?
So when I did the Ironman, I followed this guy who was a pretty good age group Ironman athlete. He qualified for Kona, which is the World Championship race. And
you also qualified, didn't you?
And I saw his finishing line photo, which is what everyone gets, which is like the times there, and it's just you crossing the finish line with like your name there, your Australian flag, your nationality, and then all the times. So swim, bike, run, and the times.
Yeah.
And I saved his photo in Instagram, and for 3 months, that's all I was thinking of, was that finish line photo. And then after I finished, I got to post my own photo.
Yep.
Exact same.
So cool.
Yeah. I recently did, in September, I did a solo marathon time trial, because all the marathons, like you said, got cancelled.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I've been training for it. With Rebound Club, we were training for the Gold Coast Marathon. That got cancelled, and then Sunshine Coast got postponed. I was like, well, I'm just going to do my own, just because I'm in my peak.
Yeah, of my training in the cycle.
I don't want to waste it. So just do my own solo one. But the week leading up to it, I just had a time in my head and a pace, 2 hours and 45, and it was a 3-minute 55 average per kilometer. And that's all I thought about for a week. And then I already wrote what I was going to say in the Instagram caption. for the post after I finished. Like everything was already organized. All I had to do was just do it. And then I finished with a 2:45.
Man, the power of mindset, like just creating what you want is so strong.
I was so close to calling the ambulance because I had cramps everywhere. Like I literally, like people were looking at me. There was a few guys that were around and supporting me. And this girl, Jess, she rocked up as I finished, and she was so horrified because I was like trying to fight off these massive cramps, but I got it done. And it was visualization. Yeah, for sure.
For me, it's just taking that back to anything you want in your life. Like it has to start with making a decision and like putting these things. Yours was the photo with that marathon, but then for the one you ran by yourself, the time and the splits. It's like whatever you focus on, you can control. And most people's lives are chaotic because they're focusing on chaos, whether it's through the news or their life's a mess, whatever it is. It's like just break it down. And one thing that as well, I was really inspired from our conversation was just that you literally do what you love on a daily basis. Like you're doing these crazy challenges all the time, and you got some coming up and everything like that. I'm like, this guy is fucking unreal. The fact that you just make time to do it. Like a lot of people talk about, so I thought I was good at prioritizing things like that, but then I see what you're doing. I'm like, I'm playing small, man. Like I still hide behind needing to work more or run a business, whatever it is. And I know that's just me in my comfort zone. Ultimately. So it's all contextual, obviously, but going back to obviously the power of visualization and thinking about what you want, it's so important, and having those things constantly in the forefront of your mind will make the result happen.
Well, I guess this morning, ideally I don't want to ride before the run. But it's just something I have to do because I have this goal in a couple of weeks. So you just got to do what you got to do.
What's the goal in a couple of weeks?
So I got a charity event, which I'm most likely going to postpone a couple of weeks just due to everything that's happened in the past week. But I'm doing an Everesting cycling challenge. So climbing the same elevation as Mount Everest on any climb you want. So you just do repetitions until you reach the same elevation. But I'm doing one in every state and territory along the East Coast in 7 days. So 5 and 7. So it'll be around 75 hours of riding, around 1,100 Ks of distance. And how
are you feeling for it?
Yeah, good.
What's the training been like for that? Actually, let's wind it back. Firstly, when did you decide you were going to do it?
Well, last year. So on my father's anniversary of his passing. So rewind before that. So I did the Ironman. Qualified for Kona, got a sub 10 hour Ironman, which is it's like a sub 3 marathon. It's
what is an Ironman?
So an Ironman is a 3.8K swim followed by a 180K bike ride and then a marathon, one after another. So
solo marathon's not good enough. You just throw those other things in front of it.
That was hard. And obviously I had no idea what I was doing. I did one triathlon before that. And then I did the half Ironman distance 2 weeks before that, just because of all the postponements due to COVID. It was
your body have been fresh like 2 weeks after doing a half Ironman?
Well, I didn't go too hard. It was more just practicing.
Gotcha. Okay.
And when you're training for an Ironman, a half Ironman doesn't really seem that much. Or perspective. But qualified for Kona, went through these ups and downs, had these massive cramps when I was on the bike, dropped all my nutrition. So I had electrolytes and things like that, dropped that. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. And managed to qualify, get a sub 10 hour time, get my photo that I visualized for months and months. And from that, I came back from that, and I just remember cycling with my friend and just saying, thinking, looking back on the past year or 2 years where father passed away, went through the most hardest time of my life and hardest period of my life. And to reach where I did with my exercise and just me as a person, from battling grief, being depressed, just feeling worthless, had nothing to live for, to thinking I'm an Ironman, I'm the man, But it's just this massive shift in mindset and just everything that happened. And I was like, man, I love this. I love the training. I love the exercise. I love challenging myself. But I think I want to share my story because I know there's other people out there that are going through the same thing in their own unique way, or even worse, definitely worse. And I want to promote exercise for better mental and physical health. And then from that, I was like, well, what's next? You know, and I wasn't confident. I wasn't a confident person before this.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't want to be in the limelight. I was like, well, maybe I should do a charity event. And then as COVID hit, everyone was doing an Everesting challenge in the bike because no one could ride, outside of their house.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, maybe I'll just do an Everesting challenge. And then another friend that I was riding with was like, man, that's like heaps of people do that. I was like, yeah, that's true. He's like, well, actually, I saw this guy in the UK who climbed up this really famous climb in the Pyrenees. Oh, no, where? Anyway, it was called Alpe d'Huez, which is like a really famous cycling climb in France. And but he did it on one of the city cycle bikes from the UK. So he
heavy as all hell, those things.
Yeah, and then he's like, and then my friend was just like, well, why don't you just do the Everesting challenge, but do it on the city cycle bike? And I was like, yeah, sure, I guess. So decided to do a charity event to share my story and to do something that I personally didn't think I could do. Like, there's no way I could ride a 28 kilo city cycle bike up Mount Cootha 46 times. Well, I thought I couldn't.
46 times.
But yeah, decided I was going to do a charity event. It took me in 2 months to build up the courage to just hire one, because I was like, oh, this is stupid. People are looking at me like riding a city cycle bike. Like,
yeah, right.
I went through my own battles because this is like a big leap for me. Putting myself out there, feeling vulnerable, sharing my story. What are people going to think? Oh, this guy's gone through all this, the stigma that's around mental health as well. But then, I just started doing it. The first couple of times I rode the city cycle bike, I was literally, I did not think I could do it. I did 8 laps one time, and I was like, the person I was with, I was like, I don't think I can do this. I can't do another 38 laps.
Man, it's a leg burn.
But fast forward, finished it.
How long did it take?
It was a 24-hour challenge, so I just needed to do it within 24 hours. So it was 2 laps an hour, so half an hour up and down. Normally on a normal bike, the fastest known on Strava is around 6 minutes. I can do it around like 7.5 minutes.
Yep.
But average, like normally on a normal bike, you'd be doing it at like 10 minutes to 15 minutes. But it took me 25 minutes to climb up on a city cycle bike.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That is horrible.
But
that is awesome.
Raise money for Beyond Blue. Yeah, just did my part, shared my story, and that's when I created the platform Rebound Club.
Yep.
Just a way that I could communicate my message. Yeah.
It's epic. It's so, and thanks for touching on the points of you had your own battles before even taking that next step, because there's a lot of people who want to do things, and I believe everyone's unique and has potential to do amazing things.
Definitely.
But it's that battle between where, Viktor Frankl says it really well, between stimulus and response is the space to decide what we do, right? Yeah. And a lot of people get overwhelmed by fear or just stuck in mud because of fear of what people think, or all of these sorts of things. And it's
fear of what could go wrong.
Yeah.
No one ever thinks about, what could go right?
Yeah. What could I learn from this? Or my life could literally change. Your life's literally changed from acting on that and just going, fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's get in there.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm just like, I wish more people would just back themselves here and just shift their perspective on it and go after it. Because even if you fail, there's still going to be a sense of achievement that you gave it a crack. Because there's
a lot of people further than where you were if you didn't do it.
Exactly. People are sitting at home thinking about it. Just go get it done, which I think is so, so important to touch on, because for everyone out there who can hear what Kent just said, it's like, if you've got your own stuff there, just do one thing. Just take one, just hire the bike for the first time. Maybe even ride the river loop. Like, you would have spent a fortune just hiring those bad boys
for the first couple of weeks, but then they provided me free bikes.
Yeah, perfect.
Which was awesome, because it would have cost me a lot of money.
But
like, I would have never thought before doing the charity event that I would be doing a charity event.
Yeah.
I don't want people knowing my story. I don't want to be in the limelight. I'm not a confident person. But I guess I went through this journey, and there were a lot of people that were encouraging me to do something because I did have a powerful story. But yeah, like I went through so many setbacks, like, just with my mental headspace, just why are you doing this? Like, it's stupid. Like, what are you doing? Just be comfortable. Just do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Don't go out and try to achieve something that you didn't think. Like,
do you still, like, obviously now you're sort of, as you said, you've learned so much from the fitness and you're feeling amazing, but do you ever have moments where you sort of dip, or are you bulletproof now?
No, definitely not. Like, I'm still a normal, like, I am fit. Like, but I'm still the same person that used to smoke a pack a day, a cigarette a day.
Smoke a pack a day.
Yeah.
Dari
6 years ago.
Yeah, right.
I'm still the same person. Like, nothing has changed. I've just gotten stronger. I just know that everything will always work out if you're proactive. And I still go through battles, but I just know that everything will work out as long as you put in the effort and the time with yourself to ensure that you can do everything to the best of your ability. I don't feel any fitter. Like, I know I can do crazy things, but I don't feel like I'm a different person. Like, my mindset has changed, that I know that I'm mentally stronger, but like, I don't know, like, I don't still feel like, I don't know.
It's hard to explain. It's only like sitting here right now, I don't feel strong or I don't feel fit, but it's when you're challenging yourself, that's when you get to, I guess, see how fit you really are. In once again, if you've done it before, you can test your time, or there's other various tangible metrics. But for example, you might compare yourself to someone else, and you might do a marathon with someone else, and you either beat them or you don't. And that can also give you feedback around, I guess, the relativity of your fitness.
Like, I've done enough challenges to know that what you think you're capable of, or when you think you really need to stop, is not when you have to stop. You can push yourself, and that's what's gotten me through like, I still go through mental health, like issues with my mental health, like, lack of confidence, like, a lot of things that everyone else would go through. But I guess I just know that if you just push through and you do what you can, it's everything will work out.
100%. So then moving forward to, I guess, going back to the challenge, so 7 days.
So 2 days after I finished the City Cycle Everesting challenge, the 24 hours, 2 days after, I was like, man, I need to do something bigger.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry. And at that time, I was thinking of doing every state in 7 days. So that was six Everests in 7 days. But just logistically, it's a bit of a nightmare. And COVID, I didn't know if I'd be able to travel state to state and everything. So I was like, well, let's just do the East Coast. And so I've been thinking of this for a year. Almost a year.
And it's close, and it's so close. What do you feel like in the lead up to it? Are there any, I guess, challenges you're expecting to come up based off the stuff that you've done? And I'm asking for my own advice as well here. But like, from doing such grueling endurance events, like, how's your body hold up? Do you have any, I guess, recovery protocols in place throughout that you're going to look to sort of manage yourself?
I've gone through so many setbacks with all of my challenges, like the Ironman. Like, it would have been so easy just to stop and give up. Like I had cramps, so I had to stop pedaling on the bike, and I could have just stopped, but I didn't. I just kept going. And just try to figure it out. You got to be prepared for something to go wrong, and if it doesn't, then it's just a bonus. So like, I go into something knowing that, being prepared and waiting for something to go wrong, because that way you always expect it. It's when you're not expecting something to go wrong is when you start to, like, make mistakes. And so I did this other thing called an Everest Man, which is like a mix between Everesting challenge and a triathlon. So doing the Everesting, but in every leg of a triathlon. I did that in January, but I went into it prepared, like physically and mentally. I was pretty strong. But I went into it knowing that something's probably going to go wrong, because the challenge took 40 hours to complete. So I didn't
sleep. How much sleep? Yeah, you didn't sleep.
I had a half an hour sleep, But there was a massive storm. All this stuff happened.
What was that like though? Then even looking at sleep deprivation, like how did you, because I know for myself, if I don't have sleep, I become like cranky as all hell.
But you're in survival mode.
Yeah.
It's just a different mindset. And I go into the challenge and I'm in survival mode.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll just get it done any way you can. So like, I'm not thinking, oh, I need to go to bed. I need to sleep. It's like, well, no, I need to finish
a warm
it.
shower.
Yeah. They're all great. But yeah, I had a half an hour sleep and that was enough. I was tired the next day. Yeah.
How long did it take you to recover after that?
Physically, 3 days. 3 days, I reckon.
Right. Do you use Garmin? Yeah. I was gonna say,
well, it's a Chorus.
Same
kind of thing. Yeah.
Smartwatch.
It's pretty good. Better than Garmin.
Yeah. Is it?
I think so. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Garmin. I've had 2 Garmins and I keep going, I watch Garmin, hoping that Garmin gets better.
Yeah.
But they just haven't.
Yeah. I'm not too technical with things. So like, this is very simple.
Yeah.
That Apple Watch is probably pretty good, but it's got too much.
I mean, it's noisy. I normally have a Whoop, but my Whoop broke. So I've got the new one, which has been coming for like 12 weeks, man.
Yeah. But yeah, physically 3 or 4 days. I had a little strain in my ankle, which after doing a 40-hour challenge is pretty good. But it was just mentally, like I did it in the peak of summer. And the reason I did it was because I wanted to lead into this charity event.
Yeah.
But also like, I wanted to show people that like
conditions.
Yeah. Don't use heat as an excuse.
Yeah.
Because I just went through 40 hours of 34-degree heat.
Yeah.
And I'm still here.
Still standing, still smiling.
Yeah.
Chasing more.
Yeah, exactly. But like everything I'm doing is, it's just really show people that like, anything is possible. And, I love it, but it's more important for me to do it because I want to show other people that it's possible.
Yep.
And yeah, the only one other person's done it in the world and I beat his time by 30 hours.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
That is insane. Well done.
But
sense of accomplishment.
Thank you. But like, if you told me two years ago that I'd be doing a 9K swim followed by a cycling Everest, which took 16 hours, and then a running Everest up Mount Cootha, which took 24 hours, like I'd be telling you you're dreaming.
Even just thinking about that, I'm trying to get my head around the fact that you did do that.
Yeah.
It's just mental.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And I think it's so exciting to see that it's possible. Like people like yourself are paving the way and one other thing actually, which is really cool. Like I was watching, I can't remember the podcast yesterday, but even though I've watched this guy since he had like 6,000 followers and he now has close to 1 million and he's done crazy things, I was literally sitting there watching him on a podcast being like, it almost seems so unattainable to get to that level. Like I caught myself looking, going, he must just have something here or have something here. And I was like, that's a victim mindset. Like I'm trying to see how he's genetically better or whatever.
He's successful because he has money. This guy's a crazy athlete because he's always been fit. Like
I caught myself doing that, but I've watched him since literally the very beginning, and it's just been hard work, dedication that's got him there. And I'm like, if I'm doing it and I'm aware of it, how many other people are doing that? And the one thing that I love about being able to just literally sit right next to you is like, I can reach out and touch you like you're a real human, right? It's not like someone that I'm following on the internet who will never talk to me. So it's cool to know that there's people literally within our communities. Like obviously you're going to go like this in terms of sharing your story and everything. Like, well, that's what I believe.
Yeah.
But to know that like the fact that anyone in our community starts off somewhere, and then if you're committed enough to it and you literally practice what you preach, it inspires enough people to put you in that position where we're all like getting sore necks from looking up and going,
if we had a timeline of my journey, it would have started with me being on a plane, unhealthy, drinking and returning back from a trip over in Asia, eating and drinking, just having fun, being on the plane, coming back here and just looking at my belly and being like, I was never like overweight, but I was like, man, I need to start running.
To reel it in.
Got off the plane. It was the start of January 2018, maybe.
Yeah.
Or 2000. I don't even know. Went for a 5K run. I just quit smoking at that time. And I did a 5K run and almost vomited. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And fast forward, 2 half marathons, a marathon, a triathlon, a half Ironman, an Ironman, an Everesting challenge. It's just, it's the growth, It's not like it's just been, I went for this run, and I used to smoke 20 cigarettes a day, you know, like it's not like I came from zero. I came from like a negative. But yeah, my journey was from a 5K run, almost vomiting along the river walk just down the road to Tenerife.
The good old river walk.
Yeah, the river walk. To here, 3-4 years.
Yeah, so inspiring. And I feel literally no matter where you're at, and you've said there's people who come along to the Rebound Club and might do a 3K. It mightn't even be a 3K. Like for you, it might literally be getting off the couch and just going for a 3-minute walk.
Yeah.
And then the next day stretching that. And I think that's what's so important for everyone to, you know, a lot of what I talk about is taking responsibility for your life or taking ownership, whatever works for you. But it's not about, you know, because we're sitting here talking about the incredible stuff that you're doing, people going, oh, I don't know, for me to be like Kenton, to be as inspiring or to be as fit, I have to do this. No, you don't. To be the level of fitness that you want literally is thinking about what is the next step for me. If you haven't exercised for 5 years, first thing you do is just start walking for 5 minutes a day or 3 times a week. And then once you get that consistently, you're going to start feeling pretty empowered because you're going to go, fuck, I've done that. And then next week you might go 10 minutes or whatever. And you just keep slowly building up step by step and put the blinders on. Don't worry about what everyone else is out there doing or telling you to do. It says, I just focus on your process and getting better. Because eventually you could, should you desire to do what Kent's doing, like you can definitely achieve that. Yeah,
for sure. It's just growth. It's not about trying to be as good as someone else. It's about being the best person you can be. And you know, it's really hard in this day and age when you got Instagram where there's you know all these influencers. There's all these people like, you know, living large in Fiji, you know, island life, and you know, driving Ferraris and stuff. And it's hard to kind of just not compare yourself with others.
100%.
But if you don't compare yourself with others and you just want to be the best person you can be, that's where you find the growth.
Definitely. You always got to start looking within, and whether that's physically, spiritually, mentally, or any of that sort of stuff.
It's either you're the captain of your ship or someone else will be.
I like it. I had to tell you, man. So when you inspired me, because as I was saying to you, like every year we do like a 12-hour challenge, or we took the boys down paddleboarding. A couple of weeks ago, and they've still in the boat, Crumbin boat shed, they've still got, used to do the Movember paddle challenge, which was like a 15-kilometer plus open water stand-up paddleboarding. It ended up getting cancelled because it got too many people and too dangerous.
You mentioned,
but
that's awesome.
Then when I was thinking about what you were saying, I was like, I'm playing small in what I do, and I feel I personally hide, because I believe in the community that the Man That Can project is and stuff, but I still always feel like I'm hiding behind a charity. I'm always doing stuff for charity. So I was like, well, one, from a confidence point of view, I'm going to put myself out there, which is the Man That Can project, but I'm also going to do something that's physically never done before and never considered doing. And a lot of people that I've told are like, yeah, you're not going to do it. You're going to break down and injure yourself, but it's rowing. Because I know people have run 30 marathons in 30 days. I'm going to row 30 marathons in 30 days purely because I suck at rowing. I'm a good runner. So rowing in 30 locations. And I want to get like the offers open to you if you want to do one with me.
Man. For sure.
Get people to do it with me to get in that hurt locker and build community. But it's purely one, it's a physical challenge that I know I don't enjoy. Like last week I rode like 110 kilometers or something, 2 halves and a full. And I thought I was prepared. I had all my fingers taped, and then I started blistering in places I didn't even know you could get blisters. I was getting chafe. I was sweating everywhere. And I was like, fuck, man. Then I started thinking, can I do this? And I'm like, I want to. And someone said to me, like, literally 2 days later, he's like, you're not going to do it. And much like what you said when that person said that to you, I was like, fuck you. I'm going to prove you wrong, and I'm going to smash this. So that's what I'm doing that in mid-May.
Awesome.
And once again, I'm not coming off a dead flat base. I can train a shitload and I row a lot. So I feel like I'm going into it early, but I'm prepared. So I'm excited because that's what you inspired me to do. I was like, one, I need to be more confident in what my vision is, what the mission is to impact men's lives. And I need to be proud to stand there at the forefront of what I do. And literally that came from our coffee. I walked away and I messaged you after, and I was like, I could have sat there and listened to you for hours, but you helped me bring the best out in myself just from that conversation. I'm sure people who listen to this are going to feel the same way.
I hope so.
But thank you so much. So how can people get around, just quickly find out more about the Rebound Club, or even just follow along with all the crazy shit that you're doing? I call it crazy. It's also inspiring, but awesome stuff that you're doing.
Mostly just Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm I am working on hopefully doing like a YouTube series and
man, that
getting
would be
more,
wild.
Because, people like we've been talking about is everyone thinks there's a barrier of what, between them and doing something.
Yep.
So like I'm breaking that down, like I want to show people that like, I have a PT now.
Yep.
I never used to. This is what I used to do. This is, just
Yeah.
really show people that like, anything is possible. So we are working on a YouTube channel and yeah, but mostly just Instagram. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll have all the links attached so you can go check that out.
Yeah.
Another thing, I think you should get on the Red Bull app. I reckon you'll be on there one day. Like if you haven't checked the Red Bull app out, I was only saying to my wife last night, like I just spend so much time watching all these crazy people do insane stuff.
It's one of my goals. I want a Red Bull helmet.
Oh, mate, you'll be there for sure. But thank you so much for your time, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you for everything that you're doing. Like, honestly, you're inspiring, I would imagine, so many more people than you realize, and you're having fun doing it.
Yeah. Oh, could I say one more thing?
100%.
Is that I do push myself a lot and I have reached a lot of challenges or achievements where I never thought was possible. But it's also, I'm really smart with my training.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want people to think that, and one thing I find with like David Goggins is that he's always about pushing yourself, which I do, but I also make sure that I'm doing it in a smart way. So I haven't been injured apart from that marathon.
Yep.
When I first got into exercise.
Yeah.
So with my training, I'm really smart. I do hard things hard, but all my easy runs are really slow.
Yep.
Like I'm always stretching. I'm always doing. There's a lot of things that go into it. That's not just pushing yourself in the training session.
Yep.
So like, I just don't want people to get the wrong message that because I've done all this stuff, I've done these marathons. Like, I'm very smart with it because I know that it's so easy to injure yourself.
Definitely.
So just be smart.
It's a really good
be smart
key point. Yeah, 100%. And once again, if you don't know what that looks like, do what Kent did at the beginning is like YouTube. What are some recovery protocols? How to, and I guess listen to your body. Like if you feel run down, sleep. Like sleep is the best recovery protocol possible. And then you can try ice bath, stretching. Like stretching is obviously, or physio, massage. Like there's so many things. But yeah, definitely that yin and yang approach. If you train hard, recover hard.
Yeah. Train smart.
Train smart. Thank you.
But thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure as well. I'm so pumped already.